problem is, Rabotai, is the world today is not going in the right direction. Because what's happening is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us a plague to wake us up. And the Gemara in Masechet Bava Kama, page 60, says, when there's devil, when there's a plague, a person shouldn't go to shul if the Satan is in essence killing people. He's using the Bet Knesset as a place where he has his tools there. Meaning, you see people go to Bet Knesset, the guy goes to Bet Knesset, he doesn't come home because he's dying. Don't go to Bet Knesset, stay home. Now, the Rambam writes something very scary. The main point of everything that I'm saying. See, the Rambam writes, we have a Psalm. Psalm 119, verse 126. That says, Et la'asot la'Hashem, that there is a time to do the will of Hashem. But Chazal says that there's a time, from here we learn that there's a time to do the will of Hashem, but there's also a time that you can't do the will of Hashem. Anus is what they call it. You wanted to build a sukkah, you build a sukkah, but it rained. You can't sit in the sukkah. So anus. 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 You can't do the mitzvah. Why? It's raining. It's going to cause you suffering if you sit in there with the rain dripping on your face. Right? So you don't have it. You wanted to do kiddush, but you don't have any food. You don't have challah, you don't have Hashem Yishmor, you don't have wine, you don't have nothing. Well, anus. You wanted to make a shiur, you didn't feel good. You didn't feel good. Couldn't show up to the shiur. Anus. Anus. Can't do it. It's against your will. Meaning it's not like you don't want to do it. It's something that's beyond your control. So the Rambam writes in his Pirush, in his commentary on the Mishnayot, in Masechet Brachot, says that there is a concept where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says there's a time where you serve Hashem, but there's a time that you simply can't. Right? Simply can't do it because it's difficult. Right? But then he says something extremely scary. He says sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset with us. Because he sees, when we go to shul, all we do is we speak to each other instead of speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we go to the shiur, instead of listening to the shiur, we play with our phone the whole time. When we go to business, instead of doing kosher business, all we do is cheat and lie. When we meet with our friends, all we do is say Lashon Hara. When we do all the things that, in essence, He allows us to do in order to do a mitzvot, we don't do it. So the Rambam writes, there are certain times where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the time is not the time to not do the will of Hashem, but rather is the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will create a problem that will make you anus and not be able to do the mitzvah. Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu do such a thing? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want you to do a mitzvah? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want you to live in a sukkah for a week? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want us to go to the Bet Knesset on Yom Kippur and pray to Him and cry? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not want us to see our friends and say Divrei Torah like normal people? Why? Why not? The Rambam writes one of the scariest things I've ever heard in my life. And he writes this. He says, sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply has had it with us. You make so many sins, so much Lashon Hara, so much rechilut, so much stealing, so much robbing, so much garbage. Guess what? I don't want your mitzvot. Yeah, but isn't the mitzvot what you want us to do? To get back home? He goes, no. What I want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what I want, he says, I want to punish you. That's what I want. The will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu at that moment is to punish us, Hashem Yishmor. And that's what the Rambam says. But He cannot punish us just like that. Why? The Torah protects us. He has a rule in the world. Torah protects us. He says, so what am I going to do? I'm not going to allow you to fulfill the Torah. How about that? The Rambam writes, I'm going to stop you from fulfilling the Torah. Shiur, you can't show up. Why? You have a headache. Shiur, flat tire. Shiur, speaker can't show up. Shiur, you don't feel like it because your wife is annoying you. All types of reasons of why you can't show up. So you figure, oh, listen, I already get the mitzvah. I get the mitzvah. Why? Anus like Achmana Patre. If there's a concept in the Torah, it says if you're anus, if it's against your ability, it's not like you don't want to do it. You want to do it, but you can't do it. You still get the reward. The Rambam writes, listen, Rabotai, listen very carefully. Be very careful to use this excuse during this time right now. Why? There is a time where Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I want to punish you because I've had it with you. And the only thing that's protecting you is the Torah that you are learning, the mitzvot that you're doing. So what I'll do in order to free my ability to punish you is not allow you to fulfill the Torah. Because there's a Gemara, it says, there's a devil, there's a plague in the world. Don't go to shul. She says, I don't have to go to shul. Gemara says it. Rambam says, don't listen to it. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling you, he has a target on your head. And the only thing that's protecting you is the Torah and mitzvot. If you use this excuse, yeah, in essence, you think you're going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. It's not going to be okay at all. It's the opposite. At this time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making it difficult and almost impossible for you to learn Torah, to fulfill the mitzvot, to pray with the minyan, to do shiurim, or all the different reasons that you have, at this time, you have to listen to a different Gemara by Resh Lakish and Masechet Brachot. It says what? If you want to acquire Torah, you have to be willing to die for it. Why? Because if not, you're going to die anyway. Just not in a good way. This is the times, Rabotai Yekarim, don't look for excuses not to do mitzvot. This is the time where you have to be moser nefesh. Sacrifice to learn more. Sacrifice to push more. Sacrifice to do more. Whatever you did until now, do more. Why? Two reasons. Number one, you want to get to a better level because you said that you're up and down, right? You want to get up, and stay up, you have to increase anyway. Number two, there's a decree on the entire world right now. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in essence, is giving us simply a world where it's difficult to do mitzvot, and we can simply say, listen, we're excused. We're excused from going to shul. We're excused from going to shiur. We're excused from this, excused from that. You know what's getting prepared? A Holocaust. That's what's preparing. How do you stop it? Whatever you're doing, do more. A lot more. Yeah, but it's hard. Exactly. That's the point. It's hard. That's the point. That's what the Rambam is trying to tell us. It's very hard. Now, that's why the Rambam writes in his Mishneh Torah, in Yad Chazakah, in Ilchot Talmud Torah, in chapter 1, Halakha number 8, every Jewish man is obligated to study Torah, whether he's poor, or he's rich, or he's healthy, and he has a complete body, or he has sicknesses and difficulties, and he's afflicted with disease, whether he's young or he's old, whether he has strength or his strength have diminished, even if he's a poor person, who derives his livelihood from charity and begs door to door, even if he is a husband and a father of children, he must establish a fixed time for learning Torah during the day and during the night. As it says in Yeshua chapter 1, verse number 8, Ve'igita bo yomam v'layla, you shall think about it day and night. This, Rabotai, is not a simple halakha of a suggestion. The Rambam writes, you want to stay alive eternally, you have to fulfill this. Yeah, but it's hard. Exactly. Right now it's harder. Perfect. Because if you're going to use every excuse not to learn, every excuse not to do the mitzvot, in essence, you're preparing yourself for doom. And this is, in essence, what the Admor was telling his people inside the concentration camp, while they're getting tortured, while they're getting killed by the dozens, by the hundreds of thousands, millions of them. He says, right now, it's difficult. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to fulfill the entire Torah as best as we possibly can here. Baruch Hashem, we're not in a Holocaust right now. We cannot even think or imagine that we can understand the difficulty and the turmoil that our ancestors went through, that our brothers and sisters went through throughout the years. More or less, most people are living in luxury today. And even the ones that are not in luxury, they're not doing so horrendous in Western society, in America. In Eretz Yisrael, it's a lot more difficult. There's a much bigger gap between the rich and the poor. They've shut down the entire country, and they're planning on shutting it down. Some even say until the end of the year. Talking about a few more months. Meaning that if you are already struggling, you're simply going to be inside a ghetto, because that's what your house is going to turn into. It's not an easy situation. For those of us that have an easy time, eating, drinking, working, we have a little bit of money in the bank and so on, you have to do double, triple, quadruple what you were doing until now. Why? It's easy for you. Those that are struggling still have to do more. Why? You can still do it. Because right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is obviously not happy. Anyone that tells you that the situation in the world is not such a big deal and things will eventually go back to normal is simply a liar. A liar. The world will never go back to what it used to be. It will never go back to normal. This scar is always going to be there.